We always hear the same answer to what about the dinosaurs question. The answer is not only invalid but also keeps us from asking far more important questions. Let's see the argument first.
What about existence of dinosaurs?
Doesn't contradict the Bible at all. The Bible never answers the question, are there dinosaurs? The Bible never answers the question, is North America in real geography? You can't argue from silence. When a text is silent, you have to respect the silence of the text.
Why is this always our answer? It doesn't have to. There can be, technically, there is a possibility that this is what God wanted, right? But maybe in the way we don't understand, this is what's actually important. But in reality, if we are honest to ourselves, we see these are just, there's nothing cosmologically true in here because they are written by people of that time. When we are honest to ourselves, it screams that it is written by people of that time and that place. There is the point of this, what about dinosaurs? Asking not about dinosaurs. It is not only about dinosaurs, actually. It is just one thing, one big thing. Yes, dinosaurs are important, but the more important part is there is nothing in here that a person of that time and that place couldn't know. Every answer they say boils down to this. It just doesn't have to. There is a possibility that this is what God wanted. Technically, there is a possibility. For example, they say things like, yeah, but God actually wanted to give you moral guidance or things like that. And that's why it doesn't say that. First of all, this is a post hoc mentality. You didn't come to this conclusion from the Bible. You just see that there are actual things that attempt to talk about outer world, attempt to give information about outer world, about cosmology, and got it wrong. So you're just changing the goalpost, okay? This is the first thing. But still, when you say this, it's still the question, there's the question begs that why does God want this? And then when you question these things, it will ultimately end in the point where you just say, it is just, technically it is possible. Technically, there can be a reason in the way we don't understand. It will always boil down to this. But why is it always the case? We should be honest to ourselves. Think about this huge universe, how huge it is. Earth is like a trillionth of a grain of sand compared to the width of the universe, the visible universe. Other than that, how old is the universe? 14 billion years old. Then you get to the Earth, this trillionth of a grain of sand thing, and it is 4.5 billion years old. All those creatures lived and died. The evolution of the Earth, the evolution of the species, everything, every chaotic thing, even how big is the Earth for humans or for this, compared to this geography or where Jesus existed or where these religions are born. We approach to present, Homo sapiens is at least 75,000 years old. You still approach the present until the last 5,000 years. God suddenly says, okay, this is enough, and chooses a favorite race and tells them to, don't wear mixed fabric, don't eat shellfish. When you are honest to yourself, yeah, it is just something rather than just technically it is possible that in a way God cares about this. But when you are honest to yourself, when you are actually honest to yourself, this is so goddamn obvious. These things are actually what a deity, according to those people, would care about. Even if there was nothing about cosmology in the Bible or in the Quran, this still wouldn't be an acceptable answer, because it is just stupid. No, God cares about these people's lives, which he created, he decided, he knows everything about it, and he just creates this huge universe after this huge time span of human evolution. In just last 5,000 years, in just this place, he starts caring about it. These things doesn't work. Yeah, this is what, God would give moral, only care about moral things, or God just doesn't subscribe to time. No, because it also doesn't change anything, because it doesn't change the fact that there's an unnecessary creation here. The fact that he is not bound by them doesn't solve anything, because there's still this unnecessarily huge amount of creation, and in that he cares about these people. And then there is also already things about cosmology, things about, attempts to give some knowledge, humbling knowledge about the outer world. These people are just saying Bible is not a science book, etc. It is just a postdoc fallacy. How did you know this? How did you decide? Does Bible say this? Does the Bible say we don't care about, I don't care about, I'm not giving you information about the outer world. I'm only talking to you about moral things, moral principles, how to live your life, how to save your soul. It doesn't say anything like that. You are coming to that conclusion after seeing that these things that he actually talks about outer world are wrong. After knowing that these are wrong, you decide that, okay, these are metaphors and Bible actually doesn't talk about this wasn't his goal all along. Okay, so this is how you decide. But we actually see these things that he gives. For example, he gives knowledge about creation. We just see random, straightforward bullshit. You then decide that after seeing that these are wrong, this creation of 6 days, this actually obviously imply that the earth is flat. The earth is flat, the firmament, the space is ocean. Even some things that are delivered in a poetic way, but talks like the earth is flat. Even in that case, you can still not survive just by saying that those are metaphors. Something being metaphor, something being poetic, doesn't mean it should be complete bullshit. No, in general, things, your metaphors, still somehow refer to your actual cosmological view, okay? For example, this is why some people say that these flat earth verses, it is from a person's perspective. Because you say that is not valid, but you say that because you know that it would naturally refer to your cosmological view. You know that, okay? So that's why it is so easily and over again, so casually and so straightforwardly imply that the earth is flat. Otherwise, he wouldn't say that. Today, we so casually, so easily postulate that the earth is round, right? And when we actually try to give some metaphors, in some poetic sense, I am in the center of the earth and I will blow up the earth and get out from the crust, etc. When a person gives these metaphors, it almost all the time they imply their cosmological view, which implies that the earth is round. So that's why it doesn't answer anything, because he would still imply that the earth is round. It is still very odd that a deity insists on telling people who thinks that the earth is flat, saying in the straightforward way that the earth is flat, saying things that imply the earth is flat, with no clue or anything that this isn't just a metaphor or anything like that. So it is just a weak copy. It obviously reflects the cosmological view of the people of that time and that place. Even in poetic verses, saying this is a metaphor, this is not a science book, these excuses doesn't help. But also there are just straightforward information verses, just giving you how the world is created, how the earth is created. For example, this 6 days of creation. In the second day, I don't remember which day what happened, but it was like in the second day, the plants, and then the sunlight, and then animals, etc. So for example, what is the point of this verse? Why couldn't he actually give knowledge, actual knowledge? And obviously, there is something that an attempt to give you some information, maybe in some humbling sense. But why doesn't he actually do this with actual knowledge instead of random crap? What is the point? What are the people of that time supposed to, or we supposed to get from this verse? Get from the things explained in the Genesis. The sky is a solid dome, and over that it is the ocean, and there is heaven. So what is the point of giving these things, saying these things? So it is pointless to say, oh, this is not God's, No, obviously this is the point. This is his goal. They tried to give some explanations about outer world. These are an information and a deity would give. How did he create the earth? How did he, made these things happen? An actual history of the earth. This would be what deity would say. And he got it wrong. Just because he got it wrong, you're just trying to change it. Change the goal. There is no implication whatsoever in the Bible or in the Quran that these creation verses, etc., there's another point, and these are actually some metaphors and isn't trying to give some actual knowledge. No. These are obviously informations of a deity of that time would give according to those people. And the point is something like, giving you some knowledge about the things you don't know, and they are supposed to be humbling in some way or anything. So why wouldn't he give actual knowledge and imply that, talk about how huge this universe is? Some actual steps we will later discover, some correct knowledge. Why is it that so hard? Why is it that instead of this, just random crap that screams, these are what a deity according to that person of that time would say, and we should save it with mental gymnastics? Why is it always the case? This is the exact attempt. How many days it took, what created after what. Exact, motivation. It requires the exact motivations, exact attempts, where an explanation that actually includes correct information, which we ask. When it actually talks about dinosaurs, for example, it is actually exactly the same. Why would some deity talk about dinosaurs? The reasons of it are the same with the reasons of why would a deity talk about how the earth is created, how many days it took him to create, which day what is created. He says these things. The only difference is they are actually wrong. This is the only difference.